Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for another Orc Mode workout. And just a quick reminder, because we got to get to this quick. For those of you who watch these every day, please click like, help keep the likes higher than the dislikes. But today was max effort bench press day, and I came in not expecting a good day. Why? My lifts were okay going into my deload. They were okay. Now last deload, I came back and hit a big PR. I also gained more water weight on my last deload than this one. I didn't gain that much weight. I gained a little bit. And I'm not going to get into why I gained water on my deloads because my private life isn't people's business. But I hit that big PR, but then I had that shoulder problem from doing pull-ups. The same workout, and I've had to rehab my shoulder. It's 95+% better, right? I've got it 95+% better. Vast improvements. Still a minor bit of inflammation in there that I'm working around and doing different mobility work and keeping it mobile and doing some stretches while balancing all the muscles. And, you know, there's a lot to that. Today I had hoped I would get better than this. I wasn't expecting a phenomenal day today, but I hoped it would be better than this. I didn't think I was going to miss 315 on the close grip pen press. Now, some people have already chimed in and are like, but you've benched more than that recently. How is this so hard? It's like it's a pen press. Okay, you can't use any technique. There's no leg drive. Nothing. None of it helps. It's a dead stop with no leg drive. And you can't even use the same pop in your lats to get it started because you don't have an eccentric. Like when we do that eccentric, we load our lats and all this energy and everything on the eccentric. We lose that. We lose the leg drive. This is harder than a floor press. Right? Usually your bench is going to be strongest, your floor press behind it, than your pen press behind it. So, you know, it's hard. And I went for a second attempt because my triceps gave out. People are like, well, what happened? My triceps were throbbing and they were almost cramping trying to lock that first attempt. So I went to do it again and I still broke it off the pins. And I was surprised. It broke off the pins really fast, but I used all of my energy to break it off the pins. Okay, to explode fast out of the bottom, because I'm fast out of the bottom with close grip. But because I had to overcome the lack of eccentric energy storing, the lack of leg drive, I had nothing left to finish the lockouts. And on that one, because I'd already failed the first one, I thought, let me grip it an inch wider and see if that helps. No dice. My triceps actually hurt after both of those. So we know we need more tricep, but we also need more pec, we need more shoulder, we need more upper back. And what I'm going to be doing with this phase, and I had already decided on this over a week ago, of how I was going to approach this next phase. I didn't really discuss it. It's going to be more and more and more body composition. You guys saw me step on the scale, 219. So actually I had 4 pounds of weight loss over this last training phase, right? That bench PR came, and then I've lost 4 pounds since then. All right, and it's all body fat. So there's going to be problems with that. So I'm going to focus on body composition for this phase because I looked back, and before I started having those shoulder issues, I looked back at what did my training look like in not the first few weeks before that PR. What happens when we went back further? I was doing a lot more volume, a lot more tens, a lot more tricep work. Even done a bunch of 10 rep floor presses, right? We focused upon a lot of training volume. And I had a whole long phase where I didn't really do anything less than 10 reps. I didn't do anything less than 10 reps other than my max and speed work. Also, I hadn't messed with the newer type of speed work. I don't think that it's working for me. Okay? And it's no disrespect to Westside and their system. I think I probably just need to be a more advanced lifter than I am to benefit from their most aggressive speed waves. So I need to go back to running what I was doing that worked. If I look back and I map out 3 to 4 months of training leading into that bench PR, and even some of the other PRs I got, I know what my training looked like. We need to start replicating some of that. Focus up on the volume. Building those weak points, though. My whole upper back and shoulder girdle need a lot more attention. Tricep volume, close grip volume, floor pressing. I'm going to do dips because I know that dips hit me in a certain way. And I need stuff that pulls on me for restoration. right? Body weight type exercises, I need more of those. But today I did close grip, and these were hard. I only got like 8 to 10 reps on all these sets, even with 225. Like, I didn't think it was going to be, I thought I was going to bang in and get like 5 sets of 12. That's what I thought would happen. Okay, shows how much that pen press took out of me and how I didn't really gain any strength during my deload. Even though I ate a little harder, relaxed, rest, I didn't come back in PR like last time. So we know that we've got to bring these areas up, and I've realized I'm at a point I've got to continue to get leaner. My focus on all my non-max and all my non-speed work needs to be body composition. It means we continue all the Metcon I'm doing. I continue the plyometrics because the conditioning is important even for body composition. Everything's going to be volume, volume, volume. I hit the best lifts that I've done coming out of a high volume phase. Also coming out of phases where I alternated bands and chains on speed work for 3s and 2s and all that. Okay, we need to go back and do that. We need to go back and do that. Also, I'm going to try to get this rack bolted down. I'm eventually going to look into building this into the full rack. But in order for me to bolt it fully down instead of just the backside, I've got to drill through the metal. I've ordered a more powerful drill and better bits, like an actual steel bit. And I'm going to see if I can drill those feet to actually anchor all 4 of the feet, the corners down instead of just that back bar. Because that back bar will have to come out later if I upgrade this rack. But I want to get that anchored down before I even mess with band speed work again. Hopefully it goes well this week. We'll see how it goes. I have plenty of the anchor bolts. But what do we mean by the volume? Well, this is 5 sets. I was hoping to get 5 by 12, but it was like 5 by 8 to 10. My pecs need maximum recoverable volume. Triceps need maximum recoverable volume. So they're going to get it on all these days. Also think me trying to mess with triceps on all the off days with restoration work, I don't know if it's ideal for my recovery. I need the band work. I'll probably start doing it just on the tricep days. So I'm only going to have 2 days a week where I hammer triceps. We are going to hammer them. So I'll do all this stuff, and then later in the day, in the evening or afternoon, I'll go ahead and do 4 or 5 sets of high rep band press downs. So then my triceps get a couple days off each time, right? They get at least three days off, in some cases 4, before they get trained again. But we're going to hammer them hard. Dips were tough too. After doing the other stuff, that they were hard to do. Even that 45, I got 11 on my first 2 sets. I was hoping I could get a bunch of 12s on all these lifts with these weights, but I didn't really get stronger during the deload. So I was hoping that's what we would see, but I got like 11 and 9s and like 8. It was like 8 to 11, even with the 45, but it was 5 sets. Keep that in mind. I wanted 5 sets of close grip, 5 sets of dips. Okay, I want to make sure for actual volume we got 10 sets that hit my pecs and my front delts. 10 sets. Now, people say, well, how do we determine maximum volume for triceps? Well, we count those as half sets because they're not the same. Even though my triceps were lit on these, it's not the same. It's my triceps are a weak link. That's why they get lit on some of these. So I decided afterwards to do 5 sets of Skullcrushers so that we get 10 quality sets. Not counting the max. The max is hard to factor in, other than we know the max attenuates upper threshold fibers before the volume work. So I wanted to make sure I got 10 quality sets for pecs and front delts and 10 quality sets for triceps. So the close grip bench and the dips count as half sets. So people say, well, that ends up being a lot. It is a lot, especially considering they're going to get trained again on a second session this week. Okay. But that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. Doing what I have to do to get these areas to grow. So my triceps are still a weak link, but we know everything else needs to get bigger too. I'm not going to get to a really good bench. I'm not going to get past that 350 that I hit, the 352, unless I grow everything. Okay, let's be realistic here. I think if I just recover and get once my shoulders fully healed and back to strength and my triceps get stronger, I'll get back to that 350 plus. But we got set back with the pull-up stuff. That's another thing. People have said, well, if you try to do this or that. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to do anything with pull-ups or chin-ups. I don't care. It set me back 2 months in my training. to do a few sets of weighted pull-ups, even in the way that should have been shoulder safe. It's not worth it. Doesn't bring anything to the table I can't get with rowing and inverted rows and stuff like that. It brings nothing to the table. In fact, it's still just an issue of volume. And even if people argue, well, a pull-up might hit the lats slightly harder than the inverted row. Okay, well, I can do 20 sets of inverted rows a week and recover. Because what else is being hit? Rear delts and stuff. Muscles that have a very high volume resistance that need to grow for me anyways. I'll just do those. And they feel so much better on my shoulder. My shoulder feels good after inverted rows instead of hurting. So I'll do that. But back over to this stuff. Back over to the dips. Again, a lot of volume because 5 sets of close grip and then 5 sets of weighted dips after a failed bench max. It's tough, but we got it done. And I think what I'm going to do with some of these, I'm just going to work with those weights, see if we can increase on it. I'm just going to go for volume. I want to get some of those up to like 12, 13, whatever we need to do. Then I did Skullcrushers. Now, for those curious, I do a fairly wide grip. Why? The narrow grip really strains my shoulder. So I actually do a shoulder width grip on these. They look a little slow at first. These were all 12s. They were all 12s, 5x12, which is right around limit for me with this weight. The first few sets looked slow, and then I got faster because I had to get in my groove. It felt like a few things crackled and popped into place. So it's like, oh man, we'll have to see how the benching goes next week. If I gain a little bit of strength and some muscle from this week, we'll see what my lift gets next week. Because I feel like the lack of training last week, not having access to my normal stuff, some stuff just isn't moving right. Not feeling the same. Even though I did tricep work really on my deload, but it's not the same stuff I normally do. But I at least did some stuff, and hopefully it doesn't get too loud. I have my sound room, but they're out there. Even though I'm in a semi-soundproof room, it's still loud outside. But we're going to keep rolling with it, and hopefully we're good. Nothing I can really do about it. But hopefully it doesn't come through over the mic, because I've got to get this voiced over. All right. So 5 sets of Skullcrushers, 5x12. So all this work ended up being about 8 to 12. I was really hoping for even higher reps, so that's okay. A lot of my leg work is going to be lower reps. I'm going to try to do sets of 20 on the good mornings again, but with those heavy weights now. Because, and we'll get to that tomorrow. We'll discuss it tomorrow, because I got to try a max effort good morning tomorrow. And then we'll do the volume work on all that. And we're going to stick to just upper body on the 2 upper body days. That means my curls are going to be on these days. And I'll do upper back, right? And we'll do traps, we'll do shrugs and stuff on the lower body days because I need all that. Because that carries over to my squatting and deadlifting. It's a weakness for me, the upper back. And I've come to understand more and more about upper back. It's not even so much about trying to build your T-spine, right? It's not so much about just the T-spine. It's really the entire musculature. It is about traps. It is about rear delts, rhomboids, all these things. Traps are a big part of it, though. I mean, if you build traps top to bottom, that's going to help. But that needs to go hand in hand with things like posterior delts. So it's about increasing your strength on these lifts, but it's also about preventing injury, right? We need to build that shoulder girdle. And we'll get to that in a minute with what we do later. But triceps. So we're going to hit the tricep weak link. Now, doesn't mean I'm not giving a lot of attention to the other things. My pecs and front delts need work. And the dips hit that. I mean, we could argue the closed grip. People can argue about that all they want. They can't argue about dips. The data is overwhelming on dips, that they hit the entire chest top to bottom. They're not a lower chest exercise. They hit the upper chest. Okay? All the EMG and stuff looking at it, dips are a phenomenal chest exercise. They're a pretty dang good tricep exercise too. But we still need the direct work. And that's the difference. So what do I mean by true weak point training? Well, I do direct work for the triceps. And a lot of it. 5 sets twice a week. And then if I do the band work later, we're doing 10 sets of isolation or single joint. Because isolation is not a real thing. It's a make-believe bodybuilder where it doesn't actually really exist. So it's a lot of tricep work. I need them to grow, but then I'm going to need to do the band work to make sure my tendons can handle the sort of tricep work I'm doing, right? Because we get that strain at the bottom. But that strain matters because my triceps were struggling even early on in those presses. Like I could feel the triceps just struggling. Okay, so we need that tricep to be strong top to bottom, not just the lockout. Not just the lockout. I need my whole tricep to be strong through the whole range of motion. So we're going to need to do more JM presses, more skull crushers. We're going to rotate it all around. We'll work in floor pressing, right? And floor press might become dominant. I may not need much close gripping because I do my speed work close grip, especially if we start going a little heavier on it. That may cover most of my close gripping. I can go back to really messing with floor pressing again. For volume, though, like 5x10s, 5x12s. Inverted rows. We're sticking with what I had decided to do because I get more reps, longer range of motion, getting that shoulder width grip. And this is one of my primary grip training tools right now. It's a big deal for my grip. Okay, because I need the axle bar work. Grip is a weak link for me on my deadlift. I've already said if I could just add 50 pounds of grip strength, I think, another 50 pounds of grip strength, my deadlift is going to keep climbing. It's my limiting factor. And I'm not saying we don't need to build the other muscles. That's what people need to keep in mind. We still build everything. We still do supplemental work for all the muscle groups. We still do the speed work, and the speed work hits all the muscles, obviously, of the main lifts. Okay? We just put a heavier emphasis there. So I need the grip. Okay? I need the grip work. And we could argue about some of the other lower body, but I don't think they're true weaknesses so much as I just need to keep building it all. I need to keep building my hips, my hamstrings, glutes, erectors. My quads grow no matter what. I think I have 600-pound squat quads already, and my sled drags hammer them. My speed bent squats hammer them. But honestly, like the sled work gives me such an intense quad pump and calf pump. All those things are getting worked. Then we went back to these. I've been trying to figure out what do I want to do with the shoulder work. Do I really need all these different angles of smaller movements? I don't think that I do. Let's go back to the wide grip upright rows. Why? Before I started cheating with these and switching to the snatch grip, because keeping in mind, I did a phase of these and I felt that intense delt DOMs, like straight up middle of my delt. And they didn't irritate my shoulders because of the way I'm doing them. When I keep them really strict and we go really wide and we limit the range of motion, I get intense DOMs the next day in my side delts. Well, we know they're working, and we know based on the data they work all three heads of the delt. So my rear delts are getting 20 sets from the inverted rows. Inverted rows are a phenomenal rear delt exercise. This wide grip upright row hits the rear delt a little harder because of the wider grip. Okay. This needs to be in here, and we need to do a bunch of volume with it. This will kill several birds with one stone. Doesn't mean I'm not going to still do some band pull-aparts, right? We're still going to do some. But I think my upper back situation will be resolved by doing my very, very large number of inverted rows, because I'm going to do them all four main workouts, which I need for the grip anyways. I need the upper back. This will finish off everything else I need through that shoulder girdle. Again, with a little bit of rear delt work from some bands, right? Again, just some good restoration in there. But these really hammer that side delt for me. And that's because that's an area that's also, a weak link for me in terms of musculature. So what are we doing with all this phase? Hypertrophy. Everything is going to be geared towards that is not max work or dynamic work. We're going to maximize body composition. I'm going to continue to lose body fat. I'm going to continue this very, very slow cut. Keeping in mind, this last phase, we lost 4 total pounds during like a 6 or 7 week window. Okay. We see if we can do that again, right? This next training cycle, I'm going to see, can I drop another 4 pounds and gain any muscle? Because what was the goal weight? 215, then we assess. Well, I think another 4 pounds of body fat. I think we'll start to see more and more of a difference. That's half a gallon of body fat. If I can gain any lean tissue with it, that's what we need to do. We need to focus on body composition. I've got to gain as much muscle and lose fat. Everything else will be handled by the max work and the speed work as far as my training components. Okay, now that means we keep up the conditioning work. It means I also definitely keep up the plyometrics because I need the speed stuff. So all we really care about from all my other training is maximizing body composition. so that I can be as good as possible in a weight class. Because I think people have figured out already, like, wait, you're going to get leaner and you were 219, right? Yeah. May not do 220. We'll see how lean I can get over time. I mean, that's been fairly successful. I mean, I've come down 11 pounds since the highest body weight. I'm down 11 pounds. It's been a few months. We've hit PRs in that time. Gotten stronger in that window. Because some of those biggest PRs were hit while weighing the 223 range. That's 7 pounds into my thing. So I've lost 4. So what happens if I slowly over time drop all the way down to like 210, 209 and get a little bit stronger again? What if we can pull the same thing off? Again, given the rest of the year to do so. Well, it means if not that hard, because I follow a really high carb diet. It's easy for me to drop water, just cut my carbs. So we finished up with higher reps on these axle bar curls. Kind of got to that same point of saying, do I really need to strain everything, or do I just need to train the biceps and the forearms? Now, I use the fat grip for the extra forearm because I'm worried about that attachment down at the bicep and the forearm. I want to use this to help make myself more resilient to bicep tendon tears. Okay, it's not just about building the biceps, it's about building resilience. So I really want my forearms to have to work, not in the sense of like the forearm curl because I'm keeping the wrist cocked back, but putting tension through the whole forearm and grip while contracting the bicep and building that tendon. I want to have to actually grip something hard. So I want there to be some carryover in terms of when I'm gripping a deadlift bar really, really hard. Right? Gripping that deadlift bar really hard. And then my biceps having to deal with that. So again, we need the bicep work. And if I want to just put the least stress on my low back and all this other stuff, we need to be using lighter weights. Right? Lighter weights, higher reps. We know it'll still build the muscle. And I need the connective tissue benefits, and I don't want to beat up the rest of my body trying to swing and cheat on curls. There you guys see there's my loose skin and my fat still there. But we're coming down. We are coming down, so eventually all that will disappear over time, all along the back. That's the reason it pulls there is because I have all that loose skin. So it makes the skin, the fat that I have, kind of pull to those areas more because that's where the skin is for it to adhere to. Right? If I didn't have loose skin, it would be more stretched out and spaced further out. Just the nature of it. So, but I'll continue to lose it over time. Right? Been successful so far, and I stopped at 3 sets of this. I had to do rest pause to get 20 on the last ones, and I paused them at the bottom, and it's good because I need that stretch on that tendon, especially when I'm fatigued, and I had to stop. I only did 3 sets of 20 on these today, but I had all that other pulling. This is just to finish everything off. But great workout outside of the missed lifts, but we keep moving forward. We have a plan, so I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.